Hey guys, it's CJ and we are back for another episode review for Life After Lockup, Love After Lockup, Season 3, Episode 10. And they called this episode Up in Smoke for an obvious reason. So let's go ahead and get into it. Now, this episode starts with Marcelino and Brittany. The pandemic is in full effect, and so everybody is quarantined right now. And we see Brittany and Marcelino, and they are having the backyard renovated. And Brittany is complaining for some reason that now she is ready to move. That she wants to go look at houses. And Marcelino is kind of confused because he has dished all of this money into this backyard. And I just think it's just a high stress situation because the kids are on 10, the dogs are on 10. It's just like a bunch of chaos in the house. And Brittany is stressed being a new mom for the fourth or fifth time. I forget how many children she actually has, but like you could tell it's weighing on her. The kids, every time you turn around, mommy, 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 and the dogs are barking, and then she's dealing with Marcelino. And so she tells Marcelino, okay, well, I know we put $10,000 into this project, but I'm ready to move. And so Marcelino lets her know that it was a little more than $10,000, $15,000 more to be exact. So Brittany is pissed off, as I would be as well, because as a couple, as a married couple, money issues are like the number one reason for divorce. So why are you yet again withholding financial information from her? Last season, it was him not winning as much at the casino playing poker as he normally did. And so he didn't let her know that he was kind of struggling. In this season, I guess they're doing much better. And he has spent $25,000. And I guess he's taking out loans because she said that too. But I think that Marcelino really needs to talk to Brittany before he makes such drastic decisions, especially when it comes to money. But she was pissed that he didn't tell her. But anyway, then we go on to Sarah. And Sarah is going to see her buff friend that we've seen in seasons past. They're at the gym working out. And she was anxious to tell her that she and Malcolm boned last night. I mean, she was excited about that. And her friend is happy for her because her friend does like Malcolm, and she feels like Malcolm does treat Sarah like a queen, treats her like she ought to be treated, the beautiful woman that she is. I don't know about y'all, but I have always just thought in my heart of hearts that the friend would get with Sarah if she had the opportunity to do so. But Sarah obviously is straight, so she may or may not have a chance. I mean, we never know. But she's a loyal friend. We've seen her many seasons, and she has always been Team Sarah, and she has not ever been for Michael's bullshit. She doesn't like Michael, and she lets us know that Michael is no good for Sarah and that she really likes the guy that Sarah's with now. And Sarah tells her that, you know, if Michael comes to Baby Rain's first birthday party, that she is going to introduce the two of them, and she's going to introduce Michael to Malcolm. But she does not want to do it at the party. She doesn't want to do it in a setting where children are around because she knows her baby daddy is crazy as hell and that some shit could pop off. So she's going to take him to, I guess they're going to do it prior to, they're going to meet up somewhere beforehand. And even the friend thinks that that's a kind of dicey situation, but we're going to let Sarah handle it how she sees fit. So then we go over to the West Coast with Lamar. And Lamar and Tennyson are kind of hanging out. And Lamar takes Tennyson to their cousin's house. Dula. It was something that started with a D. But they all are kind of sitting around, and the cousin is letting Tennyson know, you're part of the family now, we're into music and anything that's ours is yours. And they're pretty much just letting him know that they're there for him in whatever sense he might need them. So they're just kind of chopping it up and talking a little bit. And so Cuz pulls out like a blunt and he fires it up and he passes it to Tennyson, like you want some or whatever. And Tennyson, as we know, grew up in Utah with his Mormon friends and his crazy mom, and there was none of that. So he was kind of like blown back. He was kind of shocked a little bit. And say what y'all want about Lamar, but Lamar, I like how Lamar handles those children. And Lamar was just like, nah, we don't raise them like that. They're not into that kind of stuff. He shut it down and Cuz apologized or whatever. And he, that was just that on that. So Lamar's like, damn, why did he do that? Because now I know if Andrea finds out about this, it's going to be an issue. So he's thinking in the back of his mind, like he knows it's going to be some shit, but hopefully nobody says anything to her. Now, we then go on over to Clarksdale, Mississippi, my neck of the woods. Not quite, but it's in Mississippi where I am. And we see our girl, Angela. We pick up where we left off last week. Angela's in the yard with a baseball bat, wanting to know why the hell Tony has shown up to her house unannounced 4 months later. And Tony claims that he has gotten over his addiction to the prostitutes. Angela thinks that he's a damn lie. He tells her that he has changed. And I think probably the same as everybody else, that Tony's ass is tired of staying in that hotel and tired of spending his own money, and he is ready for Angela to take care of him, or to start back taking care of him as she has been since they've been on the show. Now, he also is saying that being away from her is worse than being in prison. Sure. And he's talking to her and she's asking him questions and she's just kind of letting him know that she can't be his damn therapist. And she lets us know that she has a master's degree in counseling. I don't know what kind of counseling, because it must have been high school counseling, because it damn sure isn't like counseling people on their lives, because your shit is in shambles right now. You're dating an ex-convict who can't leave the hoes and the prostitutes alone at the hotel. So if anybody needs some counseling, you need some. Donna Faye is more of a counselor than Angela is, in my opinion. But Tony, he, claims that at that point, he wasn't capable of keeping his vows and that he is now ready. He's ready to honor his vows. And Angela, she shocks the shit out of me, because she tells us that she did not go and get the marriage license like registered or signed or whatever. So technically they are not married. And because they're not married, I'm not really mad at what she's talking about later on in the episode, but we'll get to that. And she just kind of lets us know that she has options. Tony is not the end all be all for her. And we're seeing a different side of Angela, because at first Angela was Tony this, Tony that. It was almost like she couldn't live without Tony. But I think her being away from him during this pandemic has given her the strength or the confidence that she needed to know that, okay, I don't need his ass. But she tells his ass to go, so he had to leave. So then we go back to Lacey and Shane. Now, ever since they met at the pier that day and hugged and kissed, and she told him that she also was now ready to honor her vows, he moved back home. And they have just been this big happy family ever since. also, they had been trying to have a baby. And she's talking to her friend, FaceTiming her friend. And her friend is like, are you sure that's what you want to do? And she's like, well, yeah, because they went to see the doctor last season because was Lacey's tubes tied or something? I'm not sure. But this time they're going the route of IVF, which is very expensive. So how the hell are they affording the IVF? And I know I heard through the grapevine or through Twitter that they were doing like an OnlyFans where she and Shane were boinking on camera, and that's how they were making their money. And I guess it was paying well. People who tend to do OnlyFans, I guess, they make good money, but that's neither here nor there. I was just kind of curious as to how they were funding this baby making project. But she says that, she thinks that Shane would be an awesome father. And her friend is like, okay, well, that's fine and good, but I don't want you to end up with another baby with no baby daddy. You've done it 2 times before, and we really don't need to make a third. But we then go back to Vegas, and Brittany's mom comes over because she's going to kind of give them a little bit of a reprieve. She's going to let them go out because they haven't been out in a while since the baby was born, I don't think. So Brittany and Marcelino are going to get to go out, and they're probably going to go grab dinner or whatever. But she was saying how her mom has been really, really good with the grandchildren, and it's almost like she's redeeming herself for the life that she couldn't give Brittany. And she's kind of pouring that into her grandchildren, and Brittany was happy to see that. And Marcelino told us that he had a talk with mother-in-law, and he basically told her, look, you need to choose the alcohol or your grandchildren, because it's not going to be both. You're not going to bring them into that kind of life. And so from what we saw, she had been choosing the grandchildren, and she looked healthy. She looked happy. And that was that. But that kind of falls apart later, and we'll talk about that anyway. But then we go to Flint, and we see Michael. And Flint is kind of near and dear to me because that's where I was born. I was born there, left when I was 17, and I've been away for over 20 years, but that will always be home to me. So that segment always is kind of exciting to see because I get to see home. But he is in Flint talking to his mom, who, by the way, her hair is laid this season. Mama said we were not going to roast the shit out of her this season because y'all know she had those struggle gelled up ponytails for the past 2 seasons, and it irked my soul. I hated to see her like that. But Mama got her shit together this episode. She said, y'all not going to come for me this episode. She had the bang. She had everything. She was ready. But I just thought that was hilarious. And she looked good. She looked really, really good. So that was good to see. But Michael basically tells his mom that he and Maria are done. Maria is crazy as hell. You knew she couldn't have had good sense if she was dealing with you, seeing what you had put Sarah and Megan through in the past. But for some reason, I guess she thought that she was going to be able to change you. She probably had a little money in her pocket, and Michael needed a place to lay his head. So he was there, and then he realized that the hoe was crazy. And so now he all of a sudden wants to leave, and, she's putting him in bad situations to where he could go back to jail. You did that on camera when y'all were fighting down to the hotel last season, but that's neither here nor there. But he tells his mom he's done, and he's talking to her about wanting to see his children and how he's about to go to New York for the baby's party. And Sarah calls, and she calls during the conversation, and the mom's like, you gonna answer that? And he's like, no, I'm not gonna talk to her till I get to New York, which I think it's crazy because I think you need to talk to her so y'all can set up arrangements so that she knows, if you're coming, so that she could tell the kids. I mean, it's just common courtesy to pick up the phone and talk to the girl, but he wouldn't do it. But the mom is kind of gassing him up, telling him how proud she is. He seems to be talking different than he was in the past. But, I mean, words don't mean anything. He's going to have to show that he is ready to be in those kids' life the way that they need him to be in their lives. But mama going to always gas him, so it is what it is. And that was pretty much the end of their little piece right there. So then we go back to Mississippi where Angela is on the computer and she's emailing somebody, and she's emailing a Ross guy. And she's telling us that, she used to talk to Ross for many years. She actually knew Ross before she met Tony. And they kind of fell out about something. And so she kind of went all in with Tony at this point. And she was taking care of Ross at one point too. She was putting money on his books. She just got a thing for taking care of a mofo behind bars. So she was pretty much taking care of him. And then things kind of went left with him. And so she stepped on the gas with Tony. And that's kind of where it's been. But she does let us know that, she would talk to Ross when she and Tony would get into it about something. And Ross is also out of prison. And so she was telling him in the email that she wanted to get together to see him soon. So I'm thinking that Angela is trying her best to get over Tony. And I guess she figured the best way to get over Tony is to get under Ross. So that's going to be what she's trying to do this season. But I mean, I don't necessarily prefer her choice in men, but Tony is certainly not good for her. I don't know Ross yet to know whether he's good or bad for her, but something tells me that he's with the shit too. But we'll see. We'll see how that goes. Now, we then go back to Sarah, and Sarah is still seeing the therapist that she was seeing before when she and Michael tried to go together. And she's talking to the therapist, and at first, she's demure and she is well-spoken and blah, blah, blah. Then she starts talking about Michael, and she automatically goes into character that we often see her go into when she's dealing with Michael. She starts kind of, speaking, and I'm not going to say, I know people like to joke and say that her black scent comes out, but I don't really know any other way to put it, because it's like she tries to relate to Michael, and she starts, talking like she is like hood or hard or whatever, but it sounds really damn ridiculous. And so she goes into character right in front of the therapist. She gets pissed off and she's just talking and she's moving her head and she's acting up, and the therapist is kind of confused by it. And the term that the therapist used, she said that there is a different energy when you talk about Michael. And so she's like, yeah, because I'm mad, I'm pissed off. And so she just gets pissed off and she jumps up and she's like, I need a break. And she jumps up and she storms off and she goes out into the car. And I couldn't tell if she called Michael or Malcolm. She called somebody whose name started with an M. I heard that part, but I couldn't decipher who she calls on the phone, and she's crying and tripping or whatever. So then we go back to the West Coast. We go to Andrea, and we see that Tennyson and the daughter, and I forget the daughter's name. I'm gonna have all their names one of these recaps, I promise. But the big kids are in the room talking, and Tennyson is telling her about them going to see Cuz Dulo, and they're also talking about the difference that it is in Utah versus LA. And the daughter seems to like LA. She seems to be all in. The son is kind of one way or the other. It doesn't really matter to him. But you can definitely, and the daughter even let us know that she always planned to move to California anyway. So that was going to be her plan whether it was with her family or not when she was older. But he brings up to her how cousin Dulo offered him weed when he was at his house. And so she was like, oh my God. And so he was like, I gotta tell mom. I gotta let her know. And sis is like, oh my goodness, if you gotta tell her, if you're gonna tell her, you need to make sure you do it in public. And you need to make sure you let her know that Lamar checked him about it, because she's going to automatically assume that Lamar was fine with it. Lamar encouraged it, because she always wants to think the worst of that man. So he was like, yeah, I'm going to tell her. But it's a shame that your kids know that you were crazy, and they know to break bad news to you, they need to do it in a public setting so you don't act a damn fool. Andrea is crazy. And I keep saying that. And I love to see her antics. I really do. I get my life from it. But your kids know you crazy. But anyway, so then we go back to Brittany, who comes home. And instead of the mom being there with the kids, the sister is there. And so Brittany's like, where's mom? And she was like, she called me over and said she needed help with the kids, and that I needed to watch them for her. And so Brittany automatically is like, damn, because when COVID came around, the AA meetings got canceled. So they couldn't meet in person, but they could meet virtually. And her mom hadn't been attending the virtual AA meetings. And so now she's worried that her mom is relapsing. And the sister also tells her that, well, since we're talking about it, I can't find my debit card, and I just got an alert that my account is now under $50. And so they give the kids to Marcelino. They jump in the car to go and find mom. And that's where the episode ended. Now, that's pretty much it. This wasn't like an action-packed episode or anything. It focused a lot on Brittany and them, because I guess that's the build-up, because that's going to be one of the more serious storylines of their little mini-series. But if I forgot anything at all, please don't hesitate to drop it in the comments below. Let me know your thoughts on the episode. I'd love to kind of chat back and forth with everybody. Please don't forget to like this video and subscribe to my channel for Love After Lockup, Life After Lockup, or any other content that I put out. And I thank you guys so much for hanging out with me tonight. I hope you have a great weekend, and we're going to do the same over here. And I will see you guys later. Peace.